In this lesson, we're going to take a look at Stephen Still's song, So Begins the Task. This is a song that showed up, first official release was 1972 album Manassas. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But what I want to do first is have you just listen to it, and you could treat this as an ear training lesson. So I want to play it, but turn away and just listen and see if you can figure some of it out, figure out what the chords are. It's a relatively normal fingerpicking song, so we're not going to talk too much about the specific picking that goes on because it's kind of generic. Well, we will talk about it a bit. I have only a little bit of tablature with this. I just have tabbed out the introduction because the rest is pretty much the same, just following an interesting chord progression. So here we go with, I'll play it first, just a verse and a chorus, and then I will slow it down, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, turn away and just listen. Chorus. So that was the verse and the chorus. I will run through them again one more time. Actually, I'm going to do them again, just like I did, but a lot slower. And what you could have been listening for there was, don't worry so much about the intricate or each little move in the picking. Just listen to the bass notes, the first bass note, and see if you can figure out what's happening with the chord progression. So here we go, a lot slower. Second line of the verse. Chorus. Okay, now I'll break this down a lot more in the next couple segments, but we're also kind of comparing this more to the way he did it on the later reissue, Just Roll Tape, recording he made in 1969 of him just playing solo acoustic versions of a lot of his songs. Now, the studio version, again, you can find on this album, his 72 album Manassas, a great album. Had some country tunes on it, had some rockin' tunes, and a couple of neat little finger-picking songs like this. However, you can't hear the guitar really well in this one because there's a lot of stuff overdubbed. A version I was lucky enough to come across was on this album, an album called Buffalo Springfield Bluebird Roots. And what this had on it was some Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young stuff, a little bit of Neil Young stuff, and back in these days, sometimes these albums came out in various colors. Translucent. This one happens to be yellow. Not even a label. Wonder how that happens. But anyway, this had a few Poco tunes, Hard Luck, and what was the other one? My Kind of Love. And then some other early stuff. A long version of Down by the River, probably taken from the Wooden Nickel album too. But anyway, we will, well, I'm not going to talk about this anymore, but just wanted to share it with you because it's kind of cool. So, all right, in the next segment I will start talking a little bit more about the chord progression and some of the things that you're hearing in there. So let's get into So Begins the Task. Well, that was the part of a lesson I put together on Stephen Still's song So Begins the Task, obviously. And sometimes we put out lessons like in this style, where encouraging you to use your ears before we break it all down. Now, of course, later on in the lesson, I do break it all down, and we've got tablature to at least the intro, and then the chord progression and all that other stuff. So this is all part of the Target program at Totally Guitars, and where we have also a lot of free lessons. The Target program is where there is just a ton of stuff, though, in terms of different lessons, different techniques. And in this song, we broke down the chords and the picking techniques that Stills uses to get it all to sound the way he does. So some really kind of cool stuff going on in this song. Especially that one. Now this is a really good technique that you can start working on. If you can already do some alternating finger picking, keeping your thumb going back and forth, and playing some notes in between. I'm just playing a G chord here. Mixing in a little percussive strum is a really, really useful thing. So what I'm doing here is pinching notes on the first beat of the measure, and then on the second beat, brushing down lightly on beat 2 and up lightly on the and of 2. 1, 2, and just aiming for the middle strings. You hear Stills do this a lot. So the trick in this is getting a very light touch on that down and the up, and for the downs I'm using my middle 2 fingers, my second and third fingers, and for the up I'm using my index finger. But a light touch there, and then getting right back into the picking, even after your hand has just moved here. So it's really easy to get disoriented and not be able to find the strings again. So got to work on that. But if you work on that a pinch followed by a light little brush down and up, and then for the rest of the measure, just back into alternating picking. Thumb on the 6th string, middle finger on the 2nd string, thumb on the 4th string, index finger on the 3rd string. Then you'll have a really useful technique that carries over into all kinds of other stuff. So that's one of the things that's addressed in this lesson. But if you'd like to check out the rest of the lesson on So Begins the Task, be sure to come visit us at TotallyGuitars.com.